So today I really want to communicate to the students that they don't have to pick and lock themselves into a career path just yet. And on top of that, I also really want to communicate to them that they don't have to choose whether they're creative or whether they're analytical and technical and that sort of thing, because in my job, I have to have both of those sets of skills. Hi, my name is Minney and I am a web designer and developer. I run my own small business called House Digital. Along the way, I've always needed the same set of skills over and over again, and that's the ability to research, the ability to be analytical and to look at data and make decisions from it, and the ability to write, algorithms and sequences and patterns and that sort of thing. And I think those skills are across pretty much any career. You need to have those STEM skills that are really going to be the foundation and the building blocks for wherever you end up, even if you have as windy a path as I did. It's amazing looking at some of the careers that don't even exist yet. Because if you had told someone 15 years ago that space tourism operator was going to be a thing, I'm pretty sure they would tell you that you're insane. I think there's so many opportunities for traditional careers to be to get bigger and to get more exciting just by incorporating those technical aspects that are becoming more and more viable with the technology that we have now. I want to ask you guys, who knows what they want to do when they leave school? 100% knows. Cool. Anyone want to volunteer? Pediatric doctor, very cool. What about yourself? Animator? Who has no idea what they want to do? Today, I really don't want to tell you about what I do because I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I want to tell you about how I got there. So this is the title of my presentation, From Mindsites to Websites. And that's the two main places main things that I've worked with in my working career since I left uni. But it's not where I started. So when people ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, until about year 9, my answer was I wanted to own my own dance studio. I was convinced I was going to run a dance studio. Convinced. Until my dad was like, how are you going to pay your rent? And I was like, I don't really know. And then I thought about it more as I got my driver's license, and I was like, it's going to be very hard to make a lot of money as a dance instructor. So maybe I should actually go to uni and study something, so I've got a bit of a fallback. And I thought I still want to work in the dance industry, so I decided I was going to be a chiropractor. I was still convinced in my first year that I was going to be a chiropractor, and then by my second year I started questioning my choices because turns out I suck at biology, so bad. So I kind of went back to the drawing board and I was like, all right, what do I want to do? What do I actually enjoy? What could I see myself doing for the rest of my life? So I went to a careers day and said, look, I'm going to change my degree. I want to do chemistry, but I also want a lot of money because, I really like clothes. So they said, okay, have you heard of metallurgy? And I was like, no. And they're like, have you heard of engineering? And I was like, well, yeah, but I don't really know what an engineer does. And they're like, that's fine. You'll get paid a lot of money. You work in the mines. It partners really well with chemistry. And I was like, cool, I'm going to be an engineer. I went on after that to work on mine sites for about 6 years. For me, what I actually really like is data. I like being able to take information and then crunch it all and then make decisions based on it. And it's what I did for the most of the time that I was working as a process engineer for the mining companies. And then I got seconded. So that's what happened to me. They were like, we need to create a piece of software. And that piece of software is going to automate the stuff that you have already partially automated. So we want you to come work for us. But when I got seconded, this was my desk. I was working in the office in Perth. It was very different. As you can see, this is possibly the most boring office in the world. I worked in this office and I hated working in the office, but I loved working in software development. It was so fun because it was so fast paced and you got to be really analytical, but you also got to, I got to talk to a lot of people about what it was that they needed it to do. So when this finished, this project, they were like, cool, now you need to go back to site. And I was like, well, actually I don't need to go back to site because I've automated my job already. So I would like a redundancy now. Usually when people get a redundancy, they're very upset about it. But in my case, I had kind of decided I wanted to leave and pursue my own path. So I had about 6 months worth of time where I didn't have to work. I still wanted to work and I needed to decide what I was going to do next. So I started learning how to do some stuff for myself. When I left working in the mining industry, I decided to start my own consultancy, and I was going to consult to mining companies and do the stuff that I used to do for them, but on a case-by-case basis. And that's what I decided I wanted to do. But to do that, I needed a website. Fortunately, I was married to a software developer, so I kind of had a little bit of a head start there, because I could go to him and say, hey, I want to build a website. How do I do this? And he helped me kind of work out what I needed to do to learn how to build a website. Now, I'm one of those personalities that I don't do things in halves. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all in. So I learned everything there was to learn about how to build a website. I built mine, and then while I was waiting for the clients to come in, I built a new website for his software development company. And then I built a website for our local community group. And then all of the clients from the website, from the software development company and the IT company turned around and said, hey, we really like your new website. Who did that? And that's how I ended up starting my business. The best thing about working for myself is that I get to choose the people that I hang around with. The worst thing about working for myself is that when I worked for Rio Tinto or Fortescue, I had a regular income. Every single week I knew how much was going to go into my bank account. Now I don't have that. I've got to go out and actually do sales and that sort of thing. But for me, it's worth it, because it's a massive lifestyle change from flying out to a mine site every Monday and flying back every Thursday. So when you are creating a website, there is a process that you have to go through to take all of that information and then turn it into a database of sorts and make it a logical progression so people can find the things that they need. So that's the main thing that I do. I also do a little bit of programming and that sort of thing, but my specialty is in databases. So your left brain is your more analytical side of things. So here's a bunch of them here: problem solving, logic. These are things that are considered to be left brain. Do you think that you need these things to be a web developer? Absolutely, you need those things to be a web developer. I can't do my job. What about right brain? What does our right brain do? Creative? Psychology, so emotion, learning how to understand how other people think. Communication, I need to know what my clients want, and I need to be able to communicate back to them how things are going. And imagination, because no one wants a boring website. Creativity is amazing, because if you are creative, you learn how to fail and iterate and fail again, and then eventually succeed because you learn from your mistakes. And that's something that's really easy to do when you're creating things. So if you're creative, that doesn't stop you from having a job in the tech industry. And if you are a techie person, embrace creativity, because it's going to make you better at what you do. If I could go back in time and give my past self some advice, it would be to talk to myself a little bit like I'm a kindergartner, and encourage the macaroni necklaces, because I think that one of the biggest challenges is the pressure that we put on ourselves. I think that embracing creativity and embracing failure and mistakes and the ability to learn from them is something that has taken me a really long time to learn. I always wanted to be the best at things, and as I got older, I realized that the only way to be the best at things is to suck at them and then eventually iterate until you become really good at what you do. In terms of advice that I would give people who still have all of the decisions ahead of them, I would say choose things that you enjoy and are good at. And get better at them and enjoy them even more, because you might think that you want to do one thing now. That might change in 5 years' time, but there's no reason why the skills that you learn in whatever you decide to do, whether it's going to TAFE or going to uni or getting an apprenticeship or starting your own business, as long as you keep educating yourself and you have a foundation of skills that you can learn from, I think that's always going to hold you in good stead.